Market Musings podcast with Fairbairn and Russell. Hello and welcome to the Market Musings podcast, where today our guest Dan G, the CEO of Ludus Gaming, and of course also the CEO of a company that we spoke to I think a couple of times on the podcast, and that is London United. So it's very good to be talking to you, Dan, and finding out a little bit all about Ludus Games and how they're involved with London United and really what everything's all about, including the esports space. So thank you very much for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Nice to be first time on here.
Yes, good. And I believe you're calling from far-flung areas. Whereabouts are you?
In the Middle East at the moment. I'm doing a bit of a VC, my family office tech roadshow, coming through Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, onto Dubai.
Nice.
Back home very soon.
Back home very soon. Nice. Well, I hope you've got slightly better weather than certainly I think me and Kenny are experiencing, which is I'm in the Netherlands and Kenny's obviously up in Scotland, and apparently it's been raining and cold for 4 days straight, Kenny.
Yeah, it's been hi Dan, good to speak again. Yeah, it's been pretty bloody miserable up here. But listen, it's Scotland and it's winter, so we just get used to it and get on with it. But I'm a bit jealous. I know it's not extremely warm out there at the moment, Dan, but it's still a lot better than here. But no, it's great to have you on. And So really, this project is an opportunity, or this podcast is an opportunity for you just to come on and go back as far as you want, Dan. Go back to your childhood, your education, first job, successes, and I want to hear about failures as well, because you learn more from failures than you do successes. And just take us right up to sort of Ludus Gaming, and really the floor is yours for the next sort of 10, 15 minutes, and we'll jump in as and when required if there's interesting stuff comes up.
Okay, cool. I think, trying to keep how you work things, I think it's relevant talking about my background. Obviously, I'm one of the co-founders, so we've actually got 6 founders of Ludus Gaming. So we founded the company around 12, 18 months ago. And it's probably interesting to kind of get some narrative around why we all work together at the moment, why we formed the company, how our kind of previous experiences have dovetailed. We all kind of come from similar backgrounds but different journeys, and then kind of how it leads up to what Ludus Gaming is today, what it will be kind of developing into in the future, and how it fits into London United. As Mark and you have mentioned, been on here before. Kind of a bigger view on the industry, I guess. It's a super exciting space, obviously, while we're in it. Traditional gaming, digital gaming, how people are kind of approaching it, how brands are approaching it. But I guess background-wise, my background has been financial services and technology since I was 18. So coming to 15, 16 years now, done every role from founder to back office, middle office, front office, buy-side, institutional wealth management. I was a prop trader for 6 years at Merrick Spectrum, an algorithmic trader. Lots of varied experience, all with kind of a focus on data and technology and how to optimize, I guess, the kind of the process and the life cycle for investors. Spent a lot of time as a retail sales trader, and most notably kind of founded a wealth management company which we took from around 200 or 300 customers and around 30 million of assets up to a peak of about $1 billion of kind of retail assets in 2021, 22, I believe. And I guess the focus on that as a business was optimizing the user experience and inclusivity, which is kind of what all the businesses that I'm involved in. I've got lots of companies kind of that I either found or seed investor or kind of just provides kind of services for advisory roles. But they all focus around inclusivity and really kind of activating that next generation, I guess, of investor, of consumer, of participator in sectors such as gaming, such as financial services, such as consumable goods. Which is why we always focus on community, which I guess leads to esports, which is notably one of the I would argue one of the best sectors currently in terms of kind of building community, sustaining a really kind of core narrative and engaging people into a story. And we've seen some fantastic success from some of the big esports brands like Fanatics, like 100 Thieves, who have kind of come out of nowhere and built huge kind of followings of kind of people interested in this sector. I think what people have struggled with is actually engaging people outside that sector, engaging brands, and bring them into kind of esports and actually give them tangible kind of output, I guess, of, okay, you can partner with an esports brand or an org or a team or an investment co. But what are you getting out of it as a brand? What are you getting out of a partnership or an agreement? Unlike traditional business, we can't really see ROIs, returns of investment, or KPIs from brand partnerships. If my company partners with your company, I can see exactly how it's going to benefit both of us. And that's kind of how we see things. In esports, it's a little bit different. So that's, I guess, kind of a brief overview of where we see kind of value in the sector and why we're looking at it. My kind of background and my motivation comes from, traditionally I come from, super working class background, Southeast London, Bermondsey Council estate. Always seen my dad kind of working 7 days a week to put food on the table. And I guess that's kind of where the work ethic and drive comes from. And always kind of wanted to be involved in finance and technology. I'm a maths guy. I guess that's kind of where my kind of basic foundation. I'm actually a developer, so I'm full stack. So I've developed projects in 5 or 6 different languages for some huge companies, some founding kind of projects that I've actually kind of owned or sold or exited. So everything from kind of SQL data enrichment work to PHP, React for app development. So I guess my passion is technology, is kind of the data side of things and how data kind of optimizes what we do. I guess the real passion came from getting a shot and talking university. If my mum dials into this, I'm probably going to get a slap because I'm reminded of the sordid story of how I started my career in the city. Really lucky, did well at school. Probably a little weak if you speak to any of my teachers, but really fortunate that I come out with really good grades. Opportunity to go to some fantastic universities to study maths, economics, great names that all know, nice solid red bricks. And then had the opportunity to go work as, in effect, a junior kind of T-boy hedge fund. And obviously being the kind of infinite wisdom of a 17, 18-year-old, I decided that was a much better opportunity than a red brick education. So went straight into work, got a wrap around the knuckles from my sister, from my mum. Lots of wraparound, lots of chasing with broomsticks. Wasn't a popular family decision, but it's kind of, I knew I wanted to kind of get into kind of the workplace. And I guess that's where the drive started to come, right? Because I always felt like, from my background, working class, felt really fortunate and lucky to have an opportunity in this really exciting kind of finance space, hedge funds, trading. We did a lot of capital raising. So we had a capital raising platform that raised in excess of 400 million over the last 2 or 3 years for growth companies, everything from natural resources to technology, and something that we worked on as 6 founders. All of us are from pretty much traditional banking. Some of us kind of got tier 1 banking experience, the likes of HSBC, SocGen, some corporate broking, investment banking, analysts. We've collectively been in the space for the last 15, 20 years, each of us, but taken slightly different journeys. Always wanted to work together, all got a keen focus on gaming from a personal kind of position, hugely kind of involved in that scene. And I guess Ludus stems from a conversation 18 months ago where we've done previous projects. You may be aware of companies like Kryptonite One, KR1, which was a fantastic success on the Aquis market. Despite it being a really difficult market, I still believe it's one of the biggest traders. One of our founders was one of the founders of Kryptonite One, which conceptually, still to this day, remains a really simple to understand business. We had, I guess, a sector that people wanted exposure to, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, stablecoin, but lots of kind of danger and lots of kind of difficulty in accessing that sector. Kryptonite One, everyone knows how to buy stocks and share, right? Everyone knows how to get an investment manager to go on and buy a share in a public company. That's really simple. It wasn't so simple to invest in cryptocurrency back 5, 6 years ago. Kryptonite One was a vehicle to get involved in the space. So really simple, really transparent concept, worked really well. all of us kind of had investments in it or involvements in the transaction, or one of the founders is one of our founders. And we really like that concept. It was really, really cool. Fast forward 2 or 3 years after that, we had another transaction that the 6 of us all kind of worked on different functions, but in the deal, Argo blockchain, another really interesting sector, crypto mining, super complicated, really hard to access, but something that people kind of wanted exposure to. Same story, right? Listed company, we all know it's buying stocks and share. That IPO'd from, we did the private round, the public round, worked with Mirabel on that as well. That went from 30 million to in excess of $1 billion market cap. And the premise, the business was different, but the premise was simple. We've got an area where people go, that's really interesting. I'd really like some exposure to that. And I guess that's where we sat 12, 18 months ago, that we all kind of sat there and went, there's a lot of scope in this space, right? There's a lot of scope for it to grow. There's a lot of interest around there. We think it will mature as an industry. So we formed Ludus Gaming, I guess, as a vehicle to kind of push inclusivity into gaming. And our backgrounds lent ourselves capital raising, access to capital. One of our founders comes from a really nice gaming lineage, some of the founders of IDOS, so of Tomb Raider and kind of Championship Manager fame. So we've got a nice pedigree on the board as well, of people that have all kind of been in and around the gaming space. And we came in and deployed capital. I guess what we didn't expect is the reception that we received, which was a sector where most people were pulling capital out or were kind of feeling the pain of deploying capital a bit earlier. We came in, caused a lot of waves, had a huge wave of opportunity of businesses, projects saying, hey guys, come and look at us. And I guess that's where we got our first challenge and our first opportunity in the kind of same breath, which has kind of led us to where we are now, which is we've acquired 2 businesses, 2 projects. We're contractually engaged with 2 other businesses in the esports space, and we're reviewing about 15 other potential transactions all around this kind of industry. And it's kind of working through and working out where the value gets added for stakeholders. So the intention is to bring this public. We're actually in negotiations with 3 vehicles at the moment about potential RTOs to bring Ludus as a group public to a UK market. So that's super exciting, super ahead of schedule as well. So we need to make sure it kind of works in our timeline. But because we're focused on transparency and visibility and kind of bringing more eyeballs and people to the space, it kind of goes hand in glove with having a public vehicle and a way for people to get involved in what's really exciting, right? Super opportunity for me, just as a gamer and someone that enjoys this sector, to be able to kind of get behind the scenes and see how projects tick, run them, create value, talk to some fantastic partners. We're doing some great work at the moment with some partners. But yeah, it's really, really exciting, I guess.
We obviously talk about London United. We talk about them. We've had them on the podcast a couple of times, I think. Certainly interviewed the CEO there. So we don't do a whole lot in the esports space on this podcast. But I'm kind of keen to understand really what your dream is here, what you want to build here. Clearly, you've taken over London United. You obviously liked what you saw with what they were doing and how it fitted with your vision, your business model. So I'm just kind of keen to get a bit of a feeling on, what you saw in London United, how it fits in the vision, what the main dream and vision is here for Ludus. And of course, at the end of the day, we are a podcast on the market. So at some point, I would hope you would be looking to get a listing or something so that people can invest in the company.
Yeah. I guess the first point to that, answer the first question, what did I like about London United? What did I like about esports? Or what did we like as a management team, the 6 of us as an investment committee? And the short answer is nothing. Absolutely, I still to this day say esports is a really difficult sector and is pushing a rock up a hill to make money in its current format. So really bad start, right? However, going back to what we said about the kind of these businesses that do one thing right and one thing wrong, I guess forms a broader picture of what we kind of do. Is we had lots of opportunity in the esports space, in the kind of the crypto play to earn space, and we went through the same process, the due diligence process, the assessment process, sitting down with founders, talking about your business, talk to me about strengths and weaknesses, this kind of interview process. And we kind of noticed a theme. And that theme was the thing that the esports guys were doing really, really well was they were building community, they were building narrative, they were building a story. And that was a story that kept people engaged. It kept communities engaged. I went in and looked at their communities, looked at their Discord servers, looked at their Twitter spaces, kind of engagement levels. They're all fantastic, right? You look at them from an outside business and go, wow, really, really good. And then you looked at their engagement with brands. You said, well, this is fantastic as well. You know, LDN United, done work with Budweiser, Dell, Alienware, Hewlett Packard in its HyperX format. Mayor of London. You go, wow. I sat down, I kind of scratched my head and said, this is a fantastic business, guys. What's the issue? And I guess the issue is the same issue that every single esports tool that we had seen was having is the monetization of that. Okay, How do you create a kind of long-term sustainable pipeline, a revenue pipeline in this industry? Because I kind of scratch my head from a brand point of view. If I've got a brand, I own brands in kind of like the B2C and the B2B space, and when we partner with people, we have these really kind of defined return on investments or KPIs. What are we trying to achieve here? And ultimately, you don't get there with esports because no one's really kind of too sure what they want out of these partnerships or how to monetize them. So you've seen some fantastic deals with the likes of Red Bull and OG, great example, right? Super penetration. But what are you actually getting out of this, guys? What do you want to know? How do we sit around a table after an activation and go, well, that was a roaring success? And there's no kind of, I guess, revenue kind of monetization cycle in the sector, in the industry. And that's a big head scratch moment for us. And we kind of had to step away from it and go, okay, well, we're probably not going to solve that problem. So, how are we going to do something in space? And I guess you then kind of had the flip side of the coin when we were looking at game development projects, when we were looking at cryptocurrency projects, GameFi projects, play to earn, play and earn, protocol-driven gaming projects. We had this same conversation, right? One thing right, one thing wrong. And what were they doing right? They were monetizing really well. They were working out how to turn community into sustainable revenue. And we've seen that from big projects from the likes of Yuga and Animoca down to some of the smaller projects like RFTK, which is now obviously turned into another brand. But these guys did that really, really well. But they did something really badly. And that was the narrative, the communications, the continuity of messaging, because they were kind of focused on these near-term sprints, these near-term goals, but not the long-term project. We're seeing the likes of Yuga have that problem at the moment with other sides. Big narrative, but actually the difficulty to actually execute and deliver that narrative. So we had, I guess, the mirror image of the kind of the esports, traditional gaming, we might call it, and the digital side, the GameFi. And what one side was doing really well, the other side was doing really, really badly. And I guess where we saw the value was pivoting from that VC to that business accelerator and going, as a group, we've got, I guess, fingers in pies is probably the best way to explain it. We've got exposure to all these different projects, and we're looking at a game development studio at the moment, same kind of issue, one thing right, one thing wrong. We say we're looking at potentially another 2 esports teams, and we'll talk on like esports structure and where we see the value in these 2 teams and other teams around them as well. But the ability to go to a founder or a CEO of a project and go, that one thing you do really well, you go and do that. And actually within the group, we've got another entity that does what you do badly really, really well. So as a topco, as a group, a consolidated group, we know we're doing it right somewhere within the value chain. And we're kind of taking that pressure off you to have you talk to go and do what you think you're really good at. So I guess that's where I see value as a group. From the esports side, I guess we identify kind of 3 streams. We call them kind of 3 business sectors. And there'll be education, grassroots, bringing, I guess, the next generation of young people into esports. But that kind of extends beyond, okay, I want to get involved in esports, means that I want to play FIFA for a living. Would be really cool. We've got some really cool advisors who work in that space. But actually, what else does it mean? What is esports as an industry, right? And that might be, media and content. That might be brand partnerships, be digital content. That might be, production and event hosting. All these different career paths that open up from esports as a really junior industry. That's one kind of part of esports as a brand. But then I guess the next side is your mass market, your community drive. The bulk of people that are in gaming, your average Joes, people like me that honestly are a bit crap, but we really like playing games. And I'll jump on, I'll play Valorant, I'll play Rocket League, I'll play Roblox with my kids, I'll play COD or CSGO, whatever that might be. And ultimately, I'm just a bit rubbish, but I have a nice time. That's, I guess, where most people sit. And there are orgs that do that really, really well. And you'll go in, they've got super active Discord channels, super active communities, and they're fantastic at that. And I guess your last tier, which is arguably the most difficult, is your top 1%, is your competitive gaming, is your competing at the highest level. And we see lots and lots of teams. And I guess this is the holy grail, I guess, for a lot of orgs of, what do you want to aspire? And maybe even you guys expect me to come on here and go, yeah, I want to win CSGO world title. It'd be lovely. And if I had a huge amount of capital to deploy in the next 5 years where I could go get the best talent, the best guys, maybe that would be a kind of a goal. But that is a single part. You'll find that even the teams that do that really, really well, your phases, for example, compete at the highest level. LD United competes fantastic level at Valorant. Fantastic, great team, did really well. They'll kind of try and pivot into that community side or that education side because you need a bit of exposure for every single one to create a rounded business with a sustainable revenue cycle.
You've got all the cakes. You've got all the ingredients for the cake. You're looking to bake it and reverse it into, probably an asset in the market. What a company in the market. What's the pathway and timescales? Can you maybe give us the sort of process and how you are going to achieve that in 2023?
I guess we've explored lots of opportunities, and that's the stuff we've been talking about. Those ingredients to the cake, I guess, is the parts where at the beginning of this journey, you could argue actually kind of the expertise doesn't really sit there. Apart from my side, kind of running technology projects, deploying tech teams, kind of deploying schedules and kind of scrims, and everyone else. The real expertise has been around public markets, capital raising, developing community. So this is I guess where we're kind of ducks back in water here, and we can have a bit of fun and actually play around with the structure. And we've got lots of opportunity. We have been discussing: is it a fresh list? Is it a clean list? What are the merits? What are the timelines to that? Is it a UK list? Is it looking at the valuation metrics for the Canadian markets? Between us, we've done 6 of us, hundreds of listings across four countries, I believe: Australia, Canada, UK, and a few in Germany. So we kind of, I guess, we've got the opportunity to cherry pick where the best value for stakeholders is and shareholders. So we've got 3 potential, I guess, suitors, if you want to kind of put them that way, of a potential reverse in the UK, and then a pipeline of other potential vehicles. I guess we're looking at that structure at the moment. We're working out what's best for us. We will probably execute in its first kind of stage within the next 30 to 60 days, maybe sooner, because we're being pushed. There's lots of opportunity. Obviously, time is money in this space, and having a listed vehicle is something that we've always wanted to do. It is a public shop window. Is the ability, if you're focused on inclusivity, with the successes of KR1, of Argo, other projects, it's where we want to be, and give people access to this space, right? In a vehicle that's got revenue. It's got to have a nice solid balance sheet, and a kind of a safe way to access the kind of the GameFi sector. So I guess the route that we choose will primarily be focused on speed of execution, and the best possible market. We could sit and muse for hours on what that is. Is it AIM? Is it Standlist? Is it Aquis? Is it a UK, an Aussie, a Canadian? And it's 6 of one, half dozen the other, right? But
there's going to be plenty of vehicles available in the next 2 or 3 months in various markets. Just companies are running out of money. They can't raise money, and effectively a lot of these companies are just going to become shells. So there's definitely in the next, definitely Q1, Q2, there'll be a plethora of these vehicles about. So you may be spoiled for choice. It's just the cycle of the markets, and if you're old enough like me, you've seen it all before, and it's a perfect time to do it. Yeah, it's probably it's probably what the market's needing. I mean, a couple of these esports companies are sort of came with sort of one idea, and when it's not worked, they don't really have a plan B or C to fall back on. So you at least get 2 or 3 strings to your bow. And if one sector's not hot, the other one might be booming. So you can deploy capital and people into that sector and obviously maximise the potential. So no, exciting times ahead, and yeah, I'm definitely keen to see what happens in the next couple of months.
I think it's a pivotal year for us. We formed about a year ago. We're now deploying capital. We're running projects. It is a workflow that's kind of active at the moment. I've personally run corporate projects, IPOs, done some standard lists, some AIM, done Aquis before as well. And putting a timeline on these things is literally, putting a gun to your own head and giving someone else access to the trigger, right? It's invariably always wrong. Even if it's quicker or most invariably it's kind of longer. I think all we can do is kind of get the work underway now. Start getting kind of balls moving. I think we'd hope to be able to start making some public announcements pretty shortly. We've just engaged a fantastic PR and marketing team. So we'll be doing a lot more public media and press, lots of kind of articles, news work as well. So as that kind of builds, we'll start building a presence. You'll start to get the kind of feel when, I guess, the pressure pot is boiling. And as always, these things kind of come out in the press. These guys are looking at doing something. Hopefully that builds some interest around the project and some eyeballs, and people start going, well, actually, yeah, I'd quite like to look at that if it does come. Speaking to advisors already about the transaction. So I would say it's short to medium term. If we haven't executed anything within this year, I think my stakeholders are definitely very upset with me. I wouldn't be on a Christmas card list, but I think that would be a very, very loose goal. I would like to have things in place, when we get to the midway point for this year. I'd like to have a very clear and public plan to what we're up to and what kind of intention is, even if it's maybe not quite fully executed. It'd be great if it is, but no. Unfortunately, a lot of these things are outside of our control.
Yes, indeed. But by having a plan by mid this year, that should be good. Maybe we can have a bit of a catch up then and get more of an idea of how that's sort of looking, how that's firming up. But I think that's that gives us certainly some food for thought. It's been a while since we've spoken about esports, and it's good to hear that you're still very passionate about the space and what you're building there. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me. It's been fantastic. And yeah, Kenny and the Stockbox team, thanks for the support. Opportunity to come on and hopefully hear a lot more from us.
I look forward to it. Well, thank you very much then, Dan. And we'll hopefully speak again soon.
Thanks for speaking, guys, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to another podcast from Market Musings with Per Ben and Russell. Tune in next time.